Hello, everyone, and welcome back to coverage of the Super League Championship. Welcome, Sean.
Hello, and welcome to you. Congrats on crushing me.
Thank you, appreciate it. Wait, whoa. I'm hearing feedback. Okay, I
Yeah,
think we fixed it. Yeah. So what did you think of that matchup? I think I was pretty favored, right?
yes, I felt the same way. Ugin just instantly beats me if you ever cast it. So my plan was sort of okay. How am I winning if you don't cast Ugin? That was sort of my strategy going into it.
Yeah. One sec. I think we have echo. I think it's on my end. 1 second. Okay, I think that should fix the echo. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sweet. Sorry about the echo, everybody. Yeah, Ugin is kind of a big beater in that spot.
Yeah, I was kind of hopeful. I was a little hopeful. I got my hopes up a little bit, but then Ugin showed up. I
Yeah.
felt like I had a shot against the Dragon Lord Atarka that game
Yeah, I got pretty
in the
lucky. I
third game.
drew a hanger back walker like right in the nick of time to trigger it and get Ulamog 2. So
Yeah,
being pretty lucky is nice.
that yeah, that can
But
happen with
yeah.
that deck especially. I mean, that's one of the issues with that ramp deck is it doesn't really have any way to find the important cards, especially Ugin. Like you
Mhm.
can play the big hanger back, which is an awesome interaction, and then sack to find the Ulamog, but you
Mhm.
can't actually find the Ugins, which are
Yeah.
the key card, obviously.
Yeah, and Ugin's definitely the haymaker in the matchup from what I tested it. It's very, very good. So
Yeah.
is this the deck that you played, is this the deck you ran at the Pro Tour?
No, I played Dark Jeskai at the Pro Tour. I kind of
Gotcha.
just tried this out and wanted to see how it did. I like the deck. I mean, like that second game, it has some really explosive starts, which I like a lot.
Hmm.
And it's cast Gideon on turn 3, which is like one of the best things you can be doing.
Yeah. I had no chance in that game at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so what do you think of this upcoming matchup? Could we bring up the players' deck list, please? So let's take a look at Kenji. He's playing Dark Jeskai. Is this similar to the list that you ran at the Pro Tour?
No, this is similar to the Pantheon list. This is pretty standard, what everyone's sort of running now. The Kolaghan's commands and the Tassigars are
Hmm.
pretty much everywhere now. And
Yeah.
nothing too out of the ordinary here. The big thing are the Dragon Lord Solungars in the sideboard, I would say, which everyone is starting to adopt
Yeah.
as sort of the trump for the planeswalkers showing up, Gideon especially.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems super nice so you can just steal a Gideon and like ultimate at the same turn and just get him.
Yeah, that feels good.
Can we pull up Patrick's deck list, please? So he's on green white Megamorph.
Yeah,
Ooh, four
and
Knight of
and
the White Orchid.
yeah, that's sort of been a card that's been catching on lately as well. It's great if you ever find a land off of it, obviously, and it's good with like Dramoka's command and just fits into the curve nicely, even as a 2/2 first striker.
Hmm.
Even
Yeah.
if
So
you aren't.
what do you think of the matchup?
I think well, this is kind of the defining matchup of standard, I would say. These are like the two big decks in my opinion. So it's like
Sure.
Clash of the Titans, and it's if it I think it's very close. It depends a lot on the play. There's a lot of play in the matchup, but a lot on the depends on the draws. Like if Jeskai doesn't have Jace or Mantis Rider start, then the Megamorph deck is probably going to be favored.
Hmm. What do you think of the fact I was taking a look at Kenji's deck list, and he's not playing any Trilands.
Uh, what is he playing instead?
A bunch more basics.
Just a bunch of basics?
It's just a number more basics. There are just no Trilands in it,
Yeah,
which I
he's
thought was kind of
playing
interesting.
2 islands, 2 plains. Usually you only run one and one of each of those.
Yeah, and
And
there's
he's
an
also
Evolving
running
Wilds.
2 evolving ones. I don't know. I like the Trilands a lot. Like, it, especially if you're running. Oh, he's running 2 swamps. Wow.
Hmm.
Especially if you're running basic swamps, because you can start on a Mystic Monastery and basically be set casting whatever you want the rest of the game. You can cast Mantis Rider or Crackling Doom on 3
Hmm.
along with the Jace, but you can't cast both off of just 3 mana. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how this mana base plays out.
Yeah,
It
I thought
it
that
it
was
feels like
interesting.
yeah, it feels like there isn't like a set way to build mana bases still. It's still like being fleshed out. There's
Hmm.
still like all the ways are fine to build it. Like they all work basically.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the mana bases being so good nowadays. Who do you think gets this one?
Um, I'm gonna give it to whoever wins the die roll. That's my prediction.
Do you think that's that important?
Uh, uh, no, it's just I feel it's close, so might as well give it to the edge to the person who's winning the die roll.
So it looks like we're ready to head down to the match. So let's head down there right now. Alrighty, so I think we're ready to go. It looks like Kenji skept. It looks like Kenji mulliganed. Unless we
And
can't see the full hand. Yeah, he mulliganed.
he also unfortunately won the die roll, and his hand is terrible.
Yeah,
But
dispel, dispel. What do you
I
think about
guess
Patrick's hand?
Jeskai solidarity. Come on, Kenji. Patrick's hand is gonna punish this draw. He doesn't have a removal for the Jace, but
Mm-hmm.
and Kenji did get there. So, but his mana is really awkward. There's that like that swamp is just a complete eyesore when you're folding Mantis Rider.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward. So one of the things I heard about this matchup, and you can maybe tell me a little bit more about it since you've played both sides of it a little bit more than I have, and it's that what Patrick just did, pumping up that Warden of the First Tree into a 3/3, is like pretty big game when you get to do it on turn 2, right?
Yeah, there aren't like all the 1 drop removal spells do 1 damage unless Fiery Impulse has spell mastery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of the best starts you can have is Warden and make it a 3/3. But there's also other good starts, just like Hangerback Walker.
Sure, sure, that makes sense. So it looks like Kenji was able to power out a quick Tasigur, but he still has this awkward mana problem and that Mantis Rider that's just kind of sitting back, rotting in his hand.
Yeah, and the Tasigur is gonna turn on that Valor Stance though, which I mean, Valor Stance is traditionally a bad card against Jeskai, but
Hmm.
now that they're all playing Tasigur, it actually does something, and
Yeah, that
he
definitely
didn't.
didn't go the way Chion wanted. Or sorry,
Kenji
the
wanted.
way Kenji wanted. Sorry, my bad. Confusing the Chions.
He's basically a Cheon.
Yeah, confusing the Chions.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been nice if he had been able to back up the Tasigur with the spell, but I guess he didn't have that luxury. He sort of just had to
Hmm.
go for it.
So do you think post board there's a chance that those stances stay in for the Tassigers and even like the Dragonlord Slumgars?
Well, that's one of the awkward things is you want the right removal for Jeskai, but Tassiger kind of throws a wrench in it. The only thing that sort of gets everything is Stasis Snare and a Dromoka's command when you have a gigantic dude to fight. Like Silk Wrap is great, but it doesn't get Tassiger. So I would imagine he sides out the Valor stance, since that's really the only target, though.
Gotcha. So what do you do right here, your Patrick?
I mean, attacking's good. He might just like level up his
The second Warden?
And then
Kind of feels like you're putting the nail in the coffin a little bit if you do that. It's taking a lot of damage. 2-turn clock.
I mean, basically anything he does is going to work pretty well, but the Dispel is threatening to counter the Dromoka's command, which might not be able to be avoided at all.
So he chose not to pump his Warden, and instead he morphs a Dumb Protector.
Interesting.
And drawing that Mantis Rider, ew.
Yeah. All he has is Esper mana. And yeah, looks like Kenji is thoroughly dead this game. He can't even flip his Jace. So I don't know. There's not even really any best case scenarios. Like Mountain Ujatai's command. If he loots into a mountain.
Right now he loots into a mountain, then Ujatai's command to...
Yeah, but that's not really gonna be a long-term winning strategy. That's not dealing with the board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the swamp just has made this very difficult for Kenji to actually play anything impactful, because these Mantis Riders could have done a lot, but currently nothing.
Swamp confirmed, bad Magic card.
So what did Patrick get back? Dispel?
Yeah, I just unmorphed and got Dispel.
Yeah.
It's like, what you gonna do about that?
This is a pretty sad situation for Jace to be in.
Yeah. Chumping with the Jace is pretty much the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's a mountain. Can this do anything at this point?
I don't think so. There's just too much on the board.
There's just too much going on, right? Yeah, you're just dead to the board at this point. Yeah, that was rough. That was a bad.
I guess you could gain 4 and chump with Jace again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sideboarding. So I like Kenji's sideboard for this matchup. Like the Silumgars are great here. I think it's gonna sort of tilt the matchup a bit in his favor here.
I see. Yeah, I just saw like the Wardens are coming out for Patrick. Some Raptors. The Knights. Looks like he's boarding out a lot of creatures.
Yeah, which is good if Jeskai can have like very removal heavy hands.
Yeah, so are you looking to kind of dodge some of those like cheap removal spells that they have. It looks like Sean is breaking up, but I will get him back in here momentarily. In the meantime, players are... I think we sort of have Sean. We definitely...
Am I back? My internet.
I think you are. We definitely have some Mr. Destructoid going on right now. I think you're back, Sean.
Either that or I'm a robot.
Yeah, I hear you. We're good.
Canadian internet. Snowstorm.
Yeah, so it looks like the final thing that Patrick did was just board out a ton of creatures and bring in a lot more removal, it seems.
Yeah. And that's a good strategy with like mastery of this unseen, which can be really hard to answer and generate a lot of value in the late game.
Mm-hmm. How good is mastery in here?
Mastery is either gonna single-handedly win the game in the late game, or the Jeskai deck will like come out of the gates with a Mantis Rider, and you'll be stuck just like playing a mastery, and it does nothing. But I still think you bring it up in against Jeskai, just because it can do a lot.
Is it the situations that it's good enough that you just still want it, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
So what do you think of their hands?
Well, they're both awkward. Patrick is constrained on mana and doesn't really have easy access to double white for the Knight of the White Orchid.
Yeah. The Gideon too, but I guess that comes in later, so it's less of a concern. And then Kenji brings in the cub. That's really, really sweet. You can get it back with Ojutai's command for the 6-6 value.
Okay.
I think Sean is cutting. Oh, I think we actually lost Sean entirely. Sean, come back! Well, we'll get Sean back in a sec, everybody. But it looks like the players are off to the races. There's Kenji's. Oh, there we go. Do we have you back?
Yes.
Hello.
I believe so.
I was commenting on the sweet Felidar cub tech that Kenji's brought in.
Yeah, it's great since so many of the green-white removal spells are enchantments. It's a really good card.
I'll say it's also really nice so you can get it back with Ojutai's command for all that value.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like he's just gonna run it out.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you want to run it out knowing that there's a chance it's gonna die very soon and not save it as a way to kill an enchantment, or you just want to be down with it?
Well, I think with the way his hand's positioned, Kenji's hand is so weak, he sort of has to take risks. And even if it does get, say, Silk Wrapped, you can just sack it in response to get it in your graveyard for Ojutai's command later on.
Sure, that's fair. Ooh, Exert Influence is a draw for Kenji.
Yeah, that's a good way to get back in a game where you're down on cards.
Yeah, it seems excellent against the kind of plan that Green 1 Megamorph is going with as well.
And here, Knight of the White Orchid is going to get max value. Kenji could have actually considered not playing a land. I mean, as strange as it sounds.
That's interesting. To what point are you like leveling too much? Like, I won't play a land because I think they have a knight, but if they don't have a knight, then they didn't play a land. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you're mana screwed or you don't have many lands, I'll often just not play a land and see if they play a land, because when you're mana screwed, it's better to have more chances to draw lands. And if they play a land, then they can't get access to the free night land anymore.
Gotcha. Interesting. So,
considering Kenji wants to cast Exert Influence on Curve, it was probably still right to just play the land, but it was definitely a consideration.
Yeah,
when
that's
we
really
could see the night right there. And here, finally, Mantis Rider is able to be cast.
So Gideon comes down. Look at that Mantis Rider holding down the fort.
Yeah, the Mantis Rider is going to do a lot of work here. The question is, does Kenji want to pressure it with Mantis Rider or utter end the Gideon immediately? And since we can see Patrick has the Silk Wrap for the Mantis Rider, it'd be good for Kenji to hold on to the utter end for the Silk Wrap, which is what he's doing.
Yeah, it seems like what he's going to go for. Yeah, and he's just going to play Tasigur this turn. There you go. So, in comes Tasigur. Nothing in the graveyard for Kenji, but we can assume that we'll get something sweet off the top if he does get to activate it. Yeah, so Patrick draws a Dumb Protector. What do you think of going for the Nissa play here?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sean, no! Rest in peace, Sean. He'll be back in a second. So it looks like Gideon's going to put another soldier in. And yes, here comes the Silk Wrap. Going to take down... Oh, the Felidar Cub? Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Whatever Kenji was going to take anyway was going to get Felidar Cub, so... The nice thing, though, is that Kenji can sack the Felidar Cub here in response to that and get it in the graveyard. Oh, I think there's a chance that that Kenji wanted to sack that Cub and get it in the graveyard so he could get it back with a command at some point in time.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay! So, something interesting happened, Sean, and I wonder what your take is on it. So, a Silk Wrap just came into play, exiling the Felidar Cub, and Kenji had the option of sacking the Cub in response to get it in the graveyard, so that if at some point in the future he draws Ojutai's command, he can get it back with one of the modes. But instead, this Felidar Cub is now behind that Silk Wrap, which I guess if Kenji wants to utter end the Silk Wrap and get the Cub back, like that's a play he has available to him, but it seems like the utter end has better targets in general. So what do you think of this?
Yeah, I agree with you. The utter end is pretty premium removal that's going to have other good targets. If he had something like Tragic Arrogance or something along those lines, this play would make a lot of sense, but I wouldn't be planning on using the utter end on the Silk Wrap, so I might just sack the Cub immediately.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what Kenji's plans with his utter end are, so it does look like he's starting to get pretty overwhelmed here on the board. Tassiger's going to be nice later on in the game, but so far he's starting to get some beat down from Patrick. Especially with the Surge right here. And it didn't really matter which creature it was, you know, Mantis Rider was going to die too.
Yeah, but looks like the coast is going to be clear for this Exert Influence, and Hangerback Walker is a pretty great target for it, if Kenji is so inclined.
So some people in chat are commenting that it's possible Kenji didn't want the cub in the graveyard for Tassiger. And I'm not sure how viable that is, but it is a consideration.
Yeah, I mean, getting Felidar Cub back isn't bad. It's more likely to be useful than not.
So we got a loot from Jace, and a polluted Delta goes to the graveyard. And the Mantis Rider gets in, but Kenji's B is facing a pretty intimidating board at this point.
There's the juicy Exert Influence.
Yup, that was pretty nice.
That's a lot of value. So Patrick's in a bit of an awkward spot. He can't flip Nissa without either Den Protectoring back a land or playing another Nissa, which is definitely not optimal.
Yeah. I do have to say I really like Patrick's choice of lands. That is one nice looking plains.
Yeah, that's
the little sunflower field.
Yeah, so peaceful and calming as you're being attacked by a giant bug. Looks like he's gonna offer to just pop his Hangerback. He's afraid of that Mantis Rider just beating down. And Den Protector still can't return a Surge of Righteousness that he can cast on the same turn.
Right. So do you think he's just looking to get some of those Thopters so that he can just chump for a couple of turns, buy himself some time until he can figure out how to handle the situation?
Yeah, and it also sort of worked out. He got in 2 damage, although now he can't level up his Hangerback either.
Yeah, but I feel like Kenji must have felt that attack was weird. It was bait. It seemed too good to be true, right?
Yeah. And things could go wrong with like a Dromoka's command fighting the Jace and putting a counter on the Hangerback Walker.
Right, and then you pop the Hangerback, he blocks, he gets all 3 Thopters, and you got, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty spooky.
Jace is going to get to flip.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, flashing back the Exert Influence with Jace also feels good, so...
Do you think that's what he's going to do this turn?
I think so. I mean, he could just leave up his instance. I mean, it's kind of a tricky board position.
It is pretty cool to just take your opponent's permanents, though. It looks like we're just going to see a tick up, minusing the Den Protector. Which I guess is nice because
Yeah.
it's a very good way to protect the Jace itself.
Gonna threaten to be hard to block otherwise.
Yeah. So another Nissa comes back. We also are going to get to Flipper, so what do we get? A Windswept Teeth enters revealed card zone. It's not really what Patrick's looking for, but it is nice to draw cards.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that green-white is advantaged in this matchup. It has two really powerful planeswalkers in
Right.
Gideon and Nissa. Once you get one or both of those going each turn, the game is pretty much over. But this Mantis Rider still hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah, and it's presenting a serious clock, too. Do you think at this point, with Patrick not having an answer to it, it's better to try to race him out of it? Or, like, it's a serious clock. It needs to be dealt with ASAP. Yeah, I think he's still trying to get this, this hanger bat popped. And yeah, Kenji's not going to fall for it. So he's still just letting it through.
And this is going to probably come down to the wire here now that Patrick has a gigantic board, but Kenji, if he might be able to steal the game by popping his own hanger backwalker and with Kolaghan's command and attacking for the win.
Like at the end of Patrick's turn and when he untaps, you mean?
Yeah. On Patrick's turn, if he can survive a big swing
Mm-hmm.
and leave enough back. But the Surge of Righteousness might be enough to stop that plan also.
The interaction between Hangerback Walker and being able to kill it yourself with Kolaghan's command is really nice. Like surprise blockers. So what do you think you do with a Jace here?
I think you just plus the Jace and try and survive an attack. Ooh. And Mastery of the Unseen could
Yeah, I
gain
was gonna say
Patrick
that
a lot of life.
that changes things a little bit. I mean, there's no manifest in play right now. But that is a sideways answer to Mantis Rider right now. Which really is a problem card in the board, period. It's gonna be a little bit more of a problem when Kenji pops on Hangerback, though.
Patrick's just going to be able to resolve and flip the Den Protector. Although it was somewhat risky against something like an Ujitai's command, but then I guess the Hanger Backwalker would be harder to pop.
Sure. Yes, that makes sense. Looks like we might go for a big alpha attack at some point. So yeah, here comes down Dun Protector. We can now A, gain a lot of life, and B, there's a surge in the graveyard, correct? We have an answer.
Yeah. I mean, A is good enough right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's true. So how much life are we gaining? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's pretty good.
And I mean, Patrick has a really commanding board position. Kenji was just kind of hoping to squeak out a win in the air, but I mean, it doesn't look like that's going to happen now.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked like he had a window to do it. If he had another Mantis Rider, I think this would have been a different game. Um, but now with the ability to gain life, the Mantis Rider is just not going to do enough. So we could potentially see a line from Kenji that involves pumping the hanger back, popping the hanger back, dealing 2 to Patrick, untapping, attacking with all the Thopters, and then Kolagon's command?
Yeah,
Like if he draws a black source, he can just do that,
yeah, that might actually be enough.
right? And then flashbacking with Jason, so you have 6 damaging Kolagon's commands, and that's a 5/5 hanger back. Yeah, so you hit for 8. Yeah, that could maybe get there.
Should do 12 damage total, and then Patrick's gonna gain 9, so still not quite enough.
Yeah, so he'd gain 9. Yeah, and go to 14. If you take 2,
It's 2
takes
off it.
2, 8. Yeah. Oh, he's so close.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the graveyard that could do anything?
Well, he only has one mountain, 1 red mana. So any sort of burn shenanigans are not not really on the table. Like a Mantis Rider would be enough if he had 2 red sources.
Oh yeah, he's also missing another red. You're right. Yeah, it's not just black mana. Well, it still wouldn't work out even if it was just black. I'm trying to think what you could do. Is it possible you could draw Dragon Lord, Silumgar, Steel, Gideon, Emblem? You have a popped hanger back.
Oh yeah, that might be enough.
Yeah, how much power is that? It's 10, 13, 14, and then you have a blocker.
Yeah, I think that's exact lethal.
That could be. So I think if he draws Silumgar here, he could win.
Yeah. Definitely finding that out.
How many were there in the sideboard?
2.
Okay. There's 42 cards
There's a
left.
chance.
Okay, here we go. One time.
Chat, give Kenji your energy.
Can't you take my energy? Oh my gosh, the slow roll. Tasiger. Can this do anything?
I don't think so.
Oh, I think feel like we're pretty dead.
Yeah. There's nothing really good to flash back with Jace. There's not too much you can do with Cole against command. I mean, he could probably survive and maybe survive another turn, but then
But the
Surge
problem with
is
that
up.
is that if you survive another turn from this spot, you're losing a lot of your tokens.
Yeah,
Yeah? So
that's an issue.
we're blocking to not die but not actually to win, which I don't think is where we want to be right now. Exert influence only takes creatures, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
You could take another hanger back blocker, but that doesn't even do that much.
I mean, do you have enough mana to take a hanger back and no, we don't. Take a hanger back and pop it too. Get more blockers, maybe use some of those blockers to throw away at potentially a big alpha attack, which might not happen, and then still hope to draw either like a Gideon or a Slumgar.
It looks like he might be planning on exerting influence in it and attacking with as many things as he can while still not dying, and then casting Tasiger as well.
Like Tasiger and exert influence and hope to stay alive through the next turn.
Yeah.
Don't we just die to Emblem if we do that?
Well, I assume he's taking it. Oh, he's killing the Gideon.
Oh, we're killing the Gideon. Okay, that's what I thought, because I thought we were dead on the crackback. So I think this is like try to survive this turn.
Yeah.
With both the exert. Yeah, this is an exert and the Tasiger.
I know the board doesn't actually even look that terrible, but there's still a Mastery, a Surge in hand.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're drawing only a couple of outs.
Like I assume Patrick is just gonna alpha here, even though some of his things die. He's got to start punching through.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if we're Patrick, we're hoping to draw a Gideon. I think, yeah, we draw a Gideon, we can just crash.
And he's manifesting first to unmorph it while its other creatures gave him from.
Can we find out what that morph is? This could be very relevant. So we don't know what the manifest is, but it could be very, very relevant.
Could decide the very fate of this match.
It would. So we are crashing.
Which makes sense.
So Tasiger can block Ashaya pretty well. Oh, but that makes sense. There's no way to block the Den Protector unless we do that. So we can just throw a Thopter under Ashaya and not kill it, but then we take less damage by blocking the Den Protectors this way. And the Mantis Rider can block the Den Protector, but would have to go under the bus, basically. So here, Kenji's taking 5, 6. And gets to kill one of the dumb protectors and basically all the tokens, but we do lose 2 of them. And we have... For the crackback, we actually have a lot of... Wait, did we reset all the attacks? Okay,
Patrick's also likely going to cast Surge on the Mantis.
Surge of Righteousness. Yeah, so Tassiger to the Dumb Protector, which is the only creature that can really block it. Otherwise, we would have to also put the Mantis Rider in front of the Dumb Protector, but then Kenji doesn't have the Mantis Rider to attack back. I mean, you kind of have to set yourself up in such a way where you can just draw a lucky top deck here to try to go for the kill, because you're just so far behind on board. And this is exactly what you were talking about in the beginning of the matchup too, about the strength of mastery if you're playing this very long game.
Yeah, and I mean, this game has been insane. This has been like, so much stuff has happened, and this board is an absolute mess.
Yes, it is. So Kenji goes down to 5, and it looks like Patrick has cast Surge targeting the Mantis. So now one of the big problematic flyers is gone, but Kenji does still have 5 Thopters left flying. He also does not have enough. He does not have enough mana to get a Gideon to draw a Gideon and play Gideon Mantis Rider win.
Right. I don't think Kenji's even running Gideon.
Oh, is he not?
Yeah, he has to steal his Gideon. More math. How much can he afford to attack without dying?
Not a lot.
No. I don't think he can afford to attack. He can attack with like the Mantis Rider and the Tassiger if he pluses the Jace, and then he would have to lose all his Thopter tokens.
I was gonna say that involves losing all your Thopters, right?
Yeah. But
Do you have any outs at that point?
He's gonna lose most of his Thopters no matter what.
So that was Kolaghan's command targeting the Den Protector. I think that's what went down.
Did he also make Patrick discard?
Yeah, and Patrick had to discard in this turn. So... Oh, the unfortunate thing is in that turn too, if you cast Kolaghan's command, you can't also cast Mantis Rider.
Now it's the Mastery Roulette. Basically a creature.
Right.
Lights out, although Kenji's already in a bad enough spot.
So Flooded Strand and Gideon, we get word that those are the manifests right now. So neither of them are creatures. And here come a lot of those Thopters under the bus, dear friends. Do you think there's a chance that Kenji would have wanted to... Was there any window of time during this game where Kenji maybe should have flashed back that other end to destroy the Mastery, because it feels like Mastery is what's actually running away with this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure he had a good opportunity for it. He might have at some point, like rather than. I don't think he really had. I think he was just sort of. By the point, the Mastery got cast pretty late in the game, and at that point, he was already like treading water, just trying to survive.
Right. I was just trying to think back and see if there was a turn where Kenji could have potentially cast that for some value, but I don't think that ever happened. And the draw is Fiery Impulse, so I think we're dead. Yep.
Yeah. That's it.
Do you think there's a chance? Oh, the Dragon Lord Silumgar was coming. I guess there wasn't anything good for it at this point.
Yeah, just boring 2/2s.
Yep. Drawing it that turn would have been a win, though.
Yeah, on the Gideon, that was good catch by both of you. It looked like both of you figured that out, that there was a top deck window.
Yeah, Silumgar, the Silumgar father, pretty good. So let's pull up can we go to the sideboarding view and take a look at what our players are boarding?
Oh, I think, wasn't that match?
Oh, that was match. Never mind.
That's it.
There you go. Yeah.
Right, do over.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought we were still going to game 3, but yeah, that's definitely a match. Silumgar didn't seem to do as much work as he could have. Do you think there's a chance that Kenji was hurt by that mana base?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I'm like, this mana base.
Right? He had a lot of basics, and he just couldn't cast a lot of his spells, and a number of turns where he could have, but he just didn't have the double colors.
It also, I mean, the first game he also had major mana issues, so that might have been a problem, and ultimately what cost.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting thing about his deck, and
if he had.
Yeah. So it looks like we're going to wrap up and come to commercials, and we're going to go back to match. The following matches, let's see. Yeah, so this is going to be Eric versus Randy is what we're going to come back to. So we're going to go to a commercial real quick, and then we'll be back with more standard Super League Championship. We'll see you guys in a bit.